Hello, we will be getting started in just a couple minutes. We're going to give everybody a little bit to get in and get settled before we jump into the content. But thank you so much for being here. And while we're waiting on a couple more people to jump in, I will introduce myself. I'm Sarah Grace. I'm Chief Operating Officer here at MACKEY, and I am joined by Robert Lamothe and Adam Reynolds. They're two of our business coaches here at MACKEY, and they do all of the technical stuff. I am just the showy one. But we've been doing this workshop for almost a year now, so hopefully we've got it dialed in pretty well, so it'll be a good use of your time today. Let's see. And Adam has put the workbook that accompanies this webinar in the chat. Be sure to download that. It is a fillable form, so you can work right along with the webinar. You probably won't have time to fill it all out, but you can take notes, things like that. So it looks like everybody got filed in here. And I'm gonna make sure we are recording. That's great. And we're gonna jump right in. So welcome to our Grow4Ways webinar. Again, thank you so much for being here. Our goal for the next 45 minutes is for you to walk away with one excellent idea to move your business forward. And I think that's pretty good for 45 minutes of your time. So the agenda today is how this workshop fits into our whole Prosper for Business platform in terms of our financial coaching, an overview of the 4 ways. Then we're going to dive into each one in a little more in depth. And then I'm going to assign you homework, which everybody loves, and then we'll conclude. So while we're doing this today, feel free to use the chat and the Q&A. Adam and Robert will be manning those and answering questions for you. And there's really only one rule today. And that rule is that there's no bad idea. It's everything, nothing's good or bad, it's just an idea. This is truly just an ideation session. So let's jump on in so I can keep you guys on track today. So here at MACKEY, we believe that there's a prosperity ladder for business owners, and you can't have one without the bottom, the ones on the bottom. So we kind of believe that everything starts with data. If you don't have good data, you don't know where you are. And if you don't know where you are, you can't know where you're going. So first, you need good data as a business owner. Next, you need to move on to cash flow. Having cash flow that is healthy, supports your business goals, gives you peace of mind as a business owner. That's a big thing. Once you're really comfortable with your cash flow, you can move on to profit and optimizing your profit, and making sure that that's supporting your reinvestment in your business, your personal goals, all that good stuff. Then once we're making the profit that we feel good about, we move on to lifestyle, and then ultimately legacy. What do you want to leave or do in this world, right? Where this fits in is in the profit piece. So this isn't about top line growth. I mean, a lot of these things will create top line growth, but we're really focused on bottom line, what you're going to be left with at the end of the year and what will be in your pocket. And then we have an annual planning and development calendar that we use with our clients. And this is really where we start the year off. One, because it's the most fun, but two, it's the easiest one to work through and kind of, it's a good place to start and gives just really concrete ideas to move throughout the year. Let's move on. Come on. There we go. So if you think it is deceptively simple to say that there are only 4 ways to grow your business, you're not wrong. So in reality, there are an infinite number of ways to grow your business, and that's the problem. So I've never met a business owner who's just out of ideas, no idea how to move their business forward. However, I've met many, many, many business owners who are almost paralyzed by the sheer volume of the ideas they have about how to grow their business. So this, think of the 4 ways as a sorting and filtering tool to help you organize your thoughts and figure out which way you want to move first, what's most impactful. So simply put, there are 4 overarching buckets in the sorting piece of this tool. which are grow your customer base, increase your purchase frequency, increase your revenue per visit, and then increase efficiency of spending. And of course, my dogs are going to start barking. I apologize. Let's just hope he doesn't do it for too long. Okie dokie. So the first one we start with is grow your customer base. So while oftentimes when we meet with clients, they just think that they've got a new sales issue. It's always like, if I can just get new sales, we'll be good. But really, in all honesty, it's 5 times more costly to acquire a new customer than to retain a current one. So while this is maybe where our first instinct is, it can't be our only, the only thing we focus on. Now, with that said, we do like to start here because it's where we have the most ideas. It's where we get our creative juices flowing. And so we're going to go through some example strategies of how to grow your customer base. And they're kind of bucketed into these 3 pieces. So social proof. And social proof is simply the concept that the best way to get new clients is to have really happy and oversharing current clients. So social proof is, leveraging case studies and testimonials, making sure you're getting Google and Yelp reviews if that's something that works with your business. If you're in construction or any kind of home repair, house and Angie's List. So there are a million places that you can have social proof about your business. And especially if you're in a complicated business. So if you're in technology or mechanics, something that people don't really understand what they're buying, social proof is what makes it easier. It's if I don't understand what the mechanic's doing on my car, I often just ask my friends, who's the mechanic that you like to work with? And I use a lot of that social proof to make my decision. So if you're in a complicated business, it's very critical that you really push on your social proof. Second is community building. And this, in the pandemic world, I think is almost more important because we are all kind of lonely, right? We're working at home, we're working in smaller spaces with smaller groups of people, and we're kind of looking for that connectivity. So, create a Facebook group, and it doesn't necessarily have to be all about what your business is doing, but it could be a passion of yours. So one of my examples for that would be an electrician who works in the river cities, right, in Northern Kentucky, and they work on historic homes. Well, you're probably not going to get an Instagram following on historic home electrical issues, but you could create a community around, historic corbels on cornices, right? You could do it in appreciation of historic homes. So there are a lot, you don't have to necessarily just grow a community around what you do, but it could be around the culture you create, things that passion projects you have, things like that. So that's kind of a great way to think about it. Book clubs are really popular right now. They're pretty easy to get started to, or roundtables and masterminds, right? Maybe if you have a really great core of clients, maybe you start roundtables and masterminds with them and they build and bring more people into your sphere of influence. And then lastly, in terms of gaining new clients, looking upstream is really huge. So can you leverage center of influences or like-minded organizations to look upstream to where a lot more of your clients would be, so you can spend more time in those environments and potentially get in front of more potential clients. So perfect example, and I'll use our business for this one, is we're really heavily involved in the Gehring Center Family and Private Business, the Gehring Family and Private Business Center. Why can't I say that now? Anyway, we're really involved there because we're a family business, but also we tend to serve family businesses. So that's a really great place for us that not only helps build our team, but also gets us in front of potential new customers. And then even going deeper from that, not just networking in those groups, but like, can you bring some value to that group? Can you do a workshop? Can you be a keynote? Can you have a column in the monthly journal for that specialty? Like, where can you go to leverage that organization and spread your message faster and farther. Next, the second way to grow your business is to increase the frequency of purchase by current customers, or have your customers buy more often. So I have a fun little fact for the first 3 ways. And my fun fact for this one is that you are 3 times more likely to sell to a current client than a new prospect. So that means that every time you're up at bat for an upsell or a resell or a cross-sell to a current client, you're 3 times more likely to get that sale. So this is a really great bucket to ideate in and think through. And some ways you could do that are, well, first let's do the math to talk about why it's important. So say you have a client who spends $50 with you every 6 weeks. So maybe that's a haircut or something. And they come in every 6 weeks religiously. Well, if you can move that client from every 6 weeks to every 5 weeks, that's like a $433 annual sale to a $520 annual sale, which is a 20% increase in your revenue from that client. And say you can move 100 clients from 6 weeks to 5 weeks. That's a huge increase in your revenue and could drop to your bottom line, because you're really, a lot of these ways to increase frequency don't cost a lot in terms of marketing dollars or additional spend. So the ways you could think about doing this are offer a loyalty program. We all know how these work. We've all been to a coffee shop where, you know, you get your card that has 12 cups of coffee and you get your 13-month free. My favorites, however, are BAM Fam and Gimmies. So BAM Fam stands for book a meeting from a meeting. And that means that regardless of your cadence of sale with a customer or a client, you should always have your next meeting booked with them. So say you do something, I'll say a typical tax accountant, right? They see somebody once a year to do the taxes. They should not let that person out until they get a date on the books where they can follow up and make sure that the tax return is ready to prepare for next year, right? And so it's a year out, but you've got it on the calendar. It's on your to-dos. Your client hopefully has put it in their calendar and expects you to call, right? Same thing, going back to the hair salon idea, because they're really good at capturing revenue. When you go to pay for your services, you're not leaving until you book another service, because they know once you walk out the door, you're going to probably take longer to come back for a service, and they don't want to lose out on that revenue. And then gimmies are a little different, but I think they're just as important, especially for service businesses. So gimmies are tire discounters, free rotation for life, right? So I went in just a month ago and bought new tires for my car, and they were really excited to tell me how I got free rotation for life and how valuable that was for me as the owner of my car and the owner of these tires, and that it would help me exponentially for the life of my vehicle. And they're not wrong, right? But really the reason they are offering this free rotation is because they know when I come back in for that rotation, they're going to find that I need wiper blades or an oil change or an air filter. They're going to find something else they can sell me. So they've added value to me, but they're also getting another chance up at bat to sell to me something else I need. Some people who sell into strategic niches within larger companies do listening sessions where they kind of ask their clients or their potential clients to complain to them about all the things they wish the industry would do for them, right? The vendors would do for them. This is great if you're an IT provider, especially outsourced IT. Having listening sessions where people can tell you all the ways they wish their outsourced IT would work would be brilliant. It would be a way to make people feel heard. It would help you increase your service, and it would probably give you a potential up at bat just because you took the time to listen. And then, just update meetings. If you are doing anything strategic in any way, shape, or form with your clients, you should be checking in with them annually to make sure that you understand that you are still clear on their goals, values, what they want to do. So that's probably one of the biggest places you can increase your frequency of purchase is with BAM Fam and Gimmies. And then lastly, creating community and connectivity. So going back to our first way of getting more customers, the best way to get more new customers is to have happy customers, right? Current customers, but the best way to have current customers is honestly to increase your connectivity with them, right? Automated emails, if you've had an absence from them, would be a really easy way to do it. Just quick calls and check-ins, right? Seeing if somebody is taking care of the things that they told you they were going to do the last time you talked to them, right? If they had some big idea. And then just, typical marketing activities as well to your current clients could increase frequency purchase as well. Direct mail, social media, things like that. So the third way that you can grow your business is to increase your revenue per existing customer visit, which means have your customers pay more often, or not pay more often. I mean, wouldn't that be nice? Pay more, sorry, excuse me. So my last little fun fact is that existing customers are 50% more likely to try new products, and they spend 31% more compared to new customers. So if you've created a trusting relationship with your clients and customers, you've got a really great chance to increase your revenue per client and customer, just from the sheer fact that you've added this trust factor. And so there are lots of ways that you can increase your revenue per visit. And the first way, that is probably the simplest way, is market yourself to your current clients. So as business owners, we have this lens of our business that we almost think that we're over communicating, right? And that we don't want to exhaust our current client base with marketing ourselves, because what if they decide that we're being too pushy and they decide that we're annoying and they go away, right? But almost always, even from being a startup, you are doing a new product or service that your current clients don't know about. And it may be that they need it, right? They don't know you offer it and they need it, and they'd probably rather buy it from you if you have that trusting relationship. And also, if you're marketing to your current clients, they can be your biggest cheerleaders, right? I mean, how easy is it if you put out some valuable content to just forward to somebody and say, hey, look at what my provider's doing. Isn't this cool? The next way in terms of marketing services to current clients are to think about convenience add-ons. So what is it that you could easily do for your clients and customers, or a product you could sell to your current clients and customers that are just easy, that are convenient for them? And this would be, I'm trying to think of something that would be great to do. What this is the candy bar in the grocery store aisle, right? The candy bar, the People magazine, the whatever, it's a convenience purchase that's right there. So are there things in your business that are just something that your clients would metaphorically grab for, that would just be easier to buy from you instead of from somebody else? Next would be thinking like Amazon. And what I mean by this is decrease the friction to your sale. And I say Amazon because Amazon has one click on their app. So if you turn one click on, that means you have a thought, you search for the product, and you click a button, and in 2 days, that thought materializes at your doorstep. That is an almost frictionless sale. And we don't want friction, because the more friction we have, the longer the sales cycle is. And that means the less likely you are to close that sale. It's just what happens. So really what we need to be doing is, at least annually, drawing out our sales cycle, draw out each step and find the friction and fix it, right? And I'll tell you that probably 18 months ago at this point, maybe 12 months ago, we did this for ourselves, and we realized, oh my gosh, we're issuing paper contracts still. So that means that our potential clients have to print off this piece of paper, sign it, send it back. I mean, that's just ridiculous, right? So we purchased an online proposal software, and it's really changed how we can do business and how the value, even in the sale, that we bring to our potential customers. So decreasing friction is huge, huge, huge thing that you can do, and it'll probably save you money, or at least be a zero spend. And then the last piece of this bucket is increasing pricing strategically. And it doesn't say just increasing pricing. One, because that's terrifying to everybody. But two, increasing pricing should be something that you think of using a scalpel on, not a lawnmower, right? So we're not trying to just mow this lawn real quick. We're trying to really expertly cut out these places where we can increase our value and our revenue. What I didn't make this up, but what I love is the riches are in the niches, right? So not just market niche, but the niches of your business. That's where you're going to find this pricing is going to become really powerful. And so we're going to focus even more on pricing because it is something that's so uncomfortable. But we believe that pricing should be equitable and fair between the buyer and seller. And oftentimes we find that the sellers are not being fair to themselves. I think especially entrepreneurs and solo entrepreneurs, we tend to devalue ourselves and worry that, and because it's almost like you're putting a value on yourself, right? Especially if you're selling a service. And that's not fair to you because, and it's not really fair to your clients either. And I get on a little soapbox here, so forgive me. But this is about partially putting your oxygen mask on first, right? You can't take really good care of your clients in the long term if you're short-terming yourself, if you're not taking care of yourself now in the short term. It's not healthy. So you have to make sure that you're never going to get a full equitable, this is my value, this is what I'm bringing in from that value. But you need to get close, and you need to make sure that you are valuing yourself and your services adequately. And pricing is important because it's a pulley effect. And again, because I like to be on a soapbox about this, we're going to go to a whiteboard really quickly to talk about this. Okay, so let me pull up my whiteboard. Where is my whiteboard? There we go. So I'm going to draw out the simplest P&L that you've ever seen, okay? So we're going to have revenue minus expense equals profit. Very simple. And we're going to say that this business only brings in $100 because, again, simple math. So you bring in $100 worth of revenue, and say you have a 10% net income percentage, meaning that it takes you $90 to service that income. $90 in rent and utilities and people and product costs, raw materials, things like that. So at the end of the day, you're left with $10. It's not awful, but I think all of us can agree that when you're a business owner and you're putting your heart and soul and time and energy into something, walking away with 10% of what you're selling doesn't feel very equitable. It doesn't feel like a very good return on investment. So say you're super scared, you don't think the market will bear an increase, but you think you can do 1%. 1%, okay? So we have 1% in our pricing increase. That's only, your customer's only paying $1 more, but your cost doesn't change at all. So you're left with $11. Okay, so we've done that, and that nobody complained. Nobody even maybe noticed. So we get a little more confident, and so we go all the way to 10%. And I'm going to say, I am not advocating for everybody to go out and make a 10% price increase. I'm not doing that. This is just an example. But so you increase 10%, that's $10 more on the top line. It still only takes you $90 to service that revenue, but you are left with $20 in your pocket. So 100% increase in your return on investment. That starts feeling a little more equitable, a little more worth it, right? So that's what this is. This is why it's really, really important. Pricing is super important because it is the most powerful piece of your business to impact change quickly and to ensure the health of your business. Okay, so I will now step off my soapbox about pricing, but but I will ask that you at least write down in your workbook one thing to look at for pricing. Okay, so our last bucket, is to make existing processes more efficient or make the most of your spending. So you'll say that this isn't reduce your spending, because universally you can't grow by cutting your spending. So it's about efficiency, not the spend. It's about getting the most value out of every dollar you are deploying within your business. So there are a lot of ways that you can make the most of your spend. But we kind of talk about it in 3 buckets. So maintaining value while optimizing expense. And this again goes back to friction. So we want to decrease the friction to deliver your product. And friction is anything that is clunky, duplicative, and we call them hams. So there's like this old wives' tale, but I'm going to tell it from like my family's point of view, right? So my mom's in the kitchen and she's cooking a ham, and she's about to put it in the oven, and she cuts it in half and puts it on 2 pans and like puts it in the oven. And my dad looks at her and is like, I'm just curious, like I've watched you do this for 20 years. Why do you cut your hams in half before you cook them? And my mom just says, oh, well, that's how my mom did it. But then they got curious, and so they called my grandma and they said, hey, why do you cut your ham in half before you cook it? And my grandmother said, well, that's how my mother did it. And so then they all get even more curious and call my great grandmother, and they say, hey, why do you cut your hams in half? And my great grandmother says, well, I didn't have a pan big enough. So 2 more generations of women were cutting their hams in half for no reason, just because they didn't think to ask, just because they didn't change their processes as their resources changed. And this happens in every business. I don't care if you were like 3 to 6 months old. I don't care if you're just a startup, or if you're 50 years old, you've got these in your business. And it's just the way it happens. Business is changing. Our businesses change so much. I mean, they're like raising a baby, right? I mean, it happens so fast, and we're just trying to hang on and keep up sometimes. So once in a while, we need to be storyboarding out our processes, asking what the value is, making sure that if things are duplicative, or our team is like, I don't know why we do this, it annoys the crap out of me, we're looking at those and we're implementing either automations, AI, or maybe just like bringing on a lower level person. Can an intern do it? Can a virtual assistant do it? Things like that. Other ways to maintain value while optimizing expense would be just-in-time purchasing, right? So if you have raw materials that go bad, can you look at your prior data and kind of start predicting what you need and when you need it, so you have less waste? And then also, another way to maintain value while optimizing expense is team training. And so team training that's kind of a catch-all phrase, but we like to talk about it in terms of training and education, and they are different. So you train your team to reduce variation. So when you're trying to get the same kind of consistent product and service every time, that's when you train, right? So if you're a manufacturer, you train everybody on the team on this certain way to use this certain machine, right? And so it happens pretty much flawlessly every time. And then you educate your team to increase autonomy. So if you feel like you are micromanaging to death, it feels like you're always making every decision, big or small, you probably need more education of your team. They need to build their autonomy and understand what's their responsibility, what really understand and grasp your culture, your service standards, all of that. So training is a huge way to maintain value while optimizing expense. Another way to do this would be teach financial literacy and open your books. And so I'm not saying tomorrow go to your team and in your entire team and pull up your P&L from QuickBooks and show them everything. But there is a way to empower your team with your financial data. I would say across the board, most employees assume that the businesses are doing better and that the owners are rolling in money, and they can start getting resentful. There's a lot of grapevine whispering, things like that. So to empower your team, open up your books, teach them to be financially literate, and then incentivize them on that bottom line result, because they will start pointing out the hands. They will start pointing out places where you can reduce, where you can make the most of your expenses. And then, lastly, kind of on this is compensation. Just like pricing needs to be equitable between buyer and seller, compensation needs to be equitable between owner and team. And again, I think oftentimes, especially as a small business, because your team's like your family, it can get very inequitable very quickly. So, locally, ERA is a great resource to do salary surveys and help you think through making it less personal and making it right-sized. And kind of the last piece to think about is business by design or business by default. And again, no matter if you're like a 6-month startup or you're a 50-year-old company, you're going to be a little bit of a business by default, because when we're in that startup phase, or if we hit a rocky place in the economy and we weren't prepared, we're going to hustle, right? We're going to take that deal that doesn't really fit what we do, but we need the income. And then, you're going to do that, and you might get another referral for the not so great piece of business. And sometimes we just have to do what we have to do to make it through the day. And that's totally okay. But that does create a little bit of a business by default mentality. And what we really want to do is start thinking of business by design, really intentional, really purposeful, because when we are really clear on who we want to serve, how we want to serve them, what that outcome looks like, we can start optimizing all of our processes and all of our structures to that design, which will inevitably decrease your expense, increase your value, and increase your bottom line and the money in your pocket at the end of the day. So I only have 13 more minutes, so we're going to kind of fly through the homework. I apologize. So those are the 4 ways. So that's your sorting, right? You're going to, you have all of these ideas. We're going to sort them into these 4 buckets. And I'm going to check the chat really quickly. Okay, looks like Adam is taking care of it. Thank you, Adam. So the handout that Adam sent you is a fillable PDF. You don't have to use our fillable PDF. You can use your journal. You can use a couple pieces of paper, whatever, but you do need to use this system of documentation, because I promise it works. So you are your homework is to capture every idea you've ever had about growing your business. Big, small, silly, serious, but don't judge them, just capture them all. Sorry, I'm having an animal scuffle behind me. I apologize. Working from home. And so I would say spend 3 minutes on each bucket, 3 to 5. But obviously, if you're having more ideas, keep going until you burn out of them. I would also encourage you to take this back and use your team to do it, because they've probably got a ton of ideas that you haven't thought of, because they see your business very differently. So do it as a team, do it individually, and have as many people do it for you. Have trusted clients do it. Have your board of advisors do it, right? The more people ideating about your business, the better. So, 3 to 5 minutes, dump every idea you've ever had out. And you're going to dump them out into each of the ways. And, some of them get a little fuzzy depending on what kind of business you have. It's okay. We really just want to get them kind of segmented. You don't have to be perfect. Don't spend too much time perfecting which bucket they go into. And then once you've dumped all of your ideas, you're going to go back to the 1, 2, 3 and the ABC, and you're going to rank things in order of 1, 2, 3. And then once you've done all 4 pages in 1, 2, 3, you're going to go back and rank them ABC. Don't do them at the same time. I know I'm being nitpicky, but I swear it works. So I'm sure you're wondering what 1, 2, 3 and ABC mean. So I wish the Jackson 5 was playing right now, but it's as simple as 1, 2, 3, right? So 1, 2, and 3 is highest impact on growth to lowest impact on growth. And again, this is not top line revenue. Top line's for show, right? This is money in your pocket at the end of the day. This is money to reinvest in your business. This is, this is bottom line growth, bottom line impact. And I can't really give you parameters around what impact is because I'm not in your business. So this is going to be a little bit of a gut for you of what you believe to be the most impactful to the least impactful. But then ABC, I can help give some barriers around this. So A is a low barrier to implementation and C is a very high barrier. And so barriers to implementation would be time, specifically owner time, talent, and money. So an A would be something that you could do within the month and would be virtually free. So quick and cheap. And C would take lots of owner time specifically, a capital investment, potentially lots of money, energy. So these are acquisitions, new markets, new products, potentially key leadership hires, things like that. So not that they're not valuable, but they would take, we just want to be really realistic on how much energy it's going to take to birth that idea, right? And so you're going to do all your 1, 2, 3s, then all your ABCs. And then the last part is that you're going to rewrite all of your 1As and document the first 3 things you need to do to get those going. And everything that you write down must have a due date and an owner, because if you don't have either of those, then they're still just dreams. They're not plans at all. And don't worry, if you don't have 1As, you can do 2As or 1Bs, and I'm sure they'll still be just as impactful and effective. So this is all well and good, right? But we're data people. I said that in the first slide that we're data people. So where do we go from here? And this is where I think we really shine, is we help you get your ideas extrapolated down into actual potential results. We help you see the nitty gritty of it, right? So I'm just going to say very simply to explain what the next step is. Can you shift by 10%? So say you have 1,000 clients, they come in 10 times a year, they spend $50 with you, you have a nice $500,000 business, you have that 10% net income that we talked about in our pricing example, and then at the end of the day, you've got 50K left. Again, not awful, but I'm guessing for the amount of time, money, energy, sleepless nights, like time away from your family, doesn't feel all that worth it, right? So if you can shift by 10%, that means 10% more clients, they come in 10% more frequently, they spend 10% more, and you can find a way to optimize your expenses to spend 10% less. So your top line doesn't shift all that much, right? You've only got 100 more clients, they only come in 1 time more per year, they're only spending $5 more. So you've increased your top line by 33%, right? And your expenses aren't really going down all that much. They're only going down 10%. But at the end of the day, you're left with $260,000 and that's a 521% increase. And that feels equitable. That feels worth it. That feels worth all the sleepless nights and the time away from your family and the potential drinking problems, right? Like that feels worth it. And that's what that's why we do this work, is we want you as business owners to feel like it's worth it, to feel like you are taken care of and you are prosperous. And so that's what we're going to do next. Once you do the homework, if you're a client, you will reach out to your service provider and we'll set up the time to go through your P&L and your ideas and line by line model this out for you. So you're going to see, we're going to talk about your ideas. We're going to talk about what you see them achieving, and we'll see the potential impact in your business. And I've never had somebody walk away from this process and not say it was worth it. There's always 1 or 2 hidden gems that could dramatically transform your business, I promise. And I usually try to undersell us, but I promise that will work here. We've done it enough now. So I'm Sarah Grace. This is all of my contact information. And because I like to be the star of the show, I did not add Adam or Roberts in. Actually, it's more that I just keep forgetting to, but I will add them in. Hopefully they will put their information in the chat for you so that you can connect with them as well. And before we sign off, are there any questions that you would like us to answer about your homework or about the 4 ways? Okay, when there are no questions, that either means I did a great job or a really horrible job. And I like to think that I did a great job. But we're always looking to improve this 45 minutes. So if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, whatever after the fact, please connect with us. We love to hear from you. We want to provide as much value as possible. So with that, I'm getting you out 4 minutes early. I'm proud of myself on that. And thank you. Have a great day.